All righty, folks, we need to have a conversation about Fannie Mae. Fannie Mae has just come out with a program that is going to make lots and lots of people rich.
Mm.
And I think it's rich, like Richie rich over the next 12 to 18 months. So we're going to talk about what happened, what's going on, why demand is going to spike for a particular asset, and why owners of these assets are smiling. Guys, Matt, you own a bunch of these things. What is going on? What happened? Why is Fannie Mae making you rich?
It's almost like we knew this was coming a little bit.
We have called for stuff like this. Yes.
Well, wait until the 40-year version of that comes along. It's going to pump it again. Love these guys. Love you idiots in Washington. I love you guys. So, what they basically did is they said, hey, 20% and 25% is just a lot of money. And so we want to make housing more affordable. So the way that we're going to do that is, even though there's almost no supply out there of these assets, what we're going to do is we're going to goose the market. And what we're going to do is, instead of having to put down 20% of 700K on a fourplex, we're now going to say you can put down only 5% of 700K on that fourplex, but there's more. We're going to put the cherry on top with some whipped cream, make it a party. And we're going to say, hey, the sustainability factor where they used to only count 75% of rents, that's gone too. It's crazy Eddies, everybody. Come on in and buy a fourplex. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, it is. It's wild to think about that. All three of us have been talking for the last year about the things that the government was going to do to goose home values, because all they could think about is demand, not supply.
Sure.
For whatever reason. And we called things just like this. So what has basically happened is Fannie Mae, in my opinion, these are my words, not theirs. Fannie Mae just said, housing is unaffordable. Let's help everybody house hack. That's what they really said. So what they basically did on fourplexes, where they used to require you to have 25% down, which is a huge number. Plus they would run you through some sustainability, which was hard to pass. They've said, no. We will do 5% down and sustainability is gone. So what does that mean? Dion, what does this mean?
It means that Congress is full of people who own real estate who keep making laws that benefit people who own real estate. It's so weird. What are the odds?
So weird.
What are the odds?
So I have 18 rental units. One of them is a single family house. So I have 17 units that are impacted by this 5% down on 2 to 4 units. So overnight, the richening continues.
The richening continues.
And there's a couple of reasons too. So you can put 5% down on duplex, triplex, and fourplex now, which is the ones that I own. So their valuations are going to go up because it's going to increase demand. Because we had, in the beginning, people were saying if interest rates go up 1%, values will come down 10%. And then people realized, because we were saying this over and over and over, buying power goes down 1%, but transactions will be less, prices continue to rise.
Yep.
So what they did is they removed other barriers.
Yeah, they did.
The large down payment's kind of rough. Get rid of that. The sustainability, that you might not meet that in every place, so let's get rid of that. So now there's more demand on an already limited supply, because while there are record numbers of builds hitting the market this year, it's on apartments, large apartments. It's not on small multifamily. It's not on single family houses. You said this on your live on Sunday, Matt, and I have the image I would share, but we made a little over 5 million builds in the last decade versus 27 builds the decade, 27 million builds the decade before. It's like there's limited supply. We've increased the demand. So the people who own this, who for the last several years haven't been listening to the Crash Bros, and they've been listening to us, and they bought something like REI Stoners, Josh and Mary, just closed on a duplex. They're doing part of the rehab themselves. Dividend Dave moves from Washington down to Louisiana somewhere and bought a duplex and is house hacking. They just got richer. Then we add, in 2022, BAH, Basic Allowance for Housing for military, around bases and around colleges, because the GI Bill pays BAH if you're in college, went up 12%, then 3%, 2023, and it's only going up 3% next year, but it's on top of the 12%. Then you have fair market rents from Section 8, the Housing Authority, doing in most markets, in my market, it's like a 20% increase, January 1st, 2024. So if you take out the 75% sustainability and you make it 100%, and then rents can go up, because you also hear people saying rents are dropping in apartments. They're not dropping in small multifamily. We're up year over year.
Yep.
And so increased rents, increased property values. I'm trying to think of what else could happen that could just dump a crap load of money on us because we invested, because we didn't listen to the crash bows and sit back with fear and think, I'll wait for XYZ, which isn't going to happen. And when it does eventually happen, it's actually going to be really hard to buy because lenders are going to disappear.
Yeah. Well, the next thing to happen, I think the next thing is going to happen is going to actually benefit owners of not only multis, but single families. And that's, I think Matt was joking, it's the 40-year mortgage. I've done the math on a 40-year mortgage. What will happen in about 12 to 18 months is home prices will rise 12%.
Yep.
That's the math behind it. The
people in a bad market. In a bad market.
It's just how it works. People buy on payments. And I will go up. The other thing about triplexes and fourplex, I don't know about your guys' markets. I've been in my market for 22 years now. I do not recall ever a community of fourplexes being built. Now, there are some areas that were built up like that in the 50s and 60s,
not
right?
now.
So, and I own some there, but I haven't seen a new development of fourplexes and triplexes. Like there's these little one-offs kind of, like infill lots. But again, the government, Fannie in this case, with full support of the entire government, I'm sure, just said, we are going to increase the value 20%, 25% for anybody who owns a triplex or a fourplex, and probably also a duplex. So if you had done the work and you had cash flows and listened to house hacking, I mean, Matt, you have the 4-3-2-1 strategy. If people were executing that the last couple of years, I mean, 25
millionaires,
conservatively, 25%.
Millionaires.
And it'll take time. It'll take 18 months for all of this house hacking rigmarole and all of that to go through. But if you own the asset today, I think that asset goes up 25% in a year and a half to 2 years. It's just wild.
I think that's probably not wrong.
With YouTube University and the information on the 5% down trending the way it is, I think that 18 months might be a little faster than it would have been 10 years ago. 10 years ago,
no
you would have had to reach out, right?
There's no supply. I mean, I looked at my market. There's like 8 of them.
I think it's going to go,
of these listings.
It's going to go up more for longer.
Really?
It's going to go up more for longer. It has to, because there's zero new supply coming on. And the government still doesn't understand it, that they keep on goosing demand. The most important thing to create of anything is supply, because you're creating something. Demand can be artificially manufactured. Supply cannot be artificially manufactured. Yeah. So the issue that you're going to have, and we see it now, there's actually 4-unit buildings being built where I am.
Oh, wow.
There are, okay. But they all start with at $1 million. These brand new builds are starting at $1 million.
So that's just going to pull up the value.
It's pulling up all the existing 4s. And I bought a 4 12 months ago that needed a bunch of work. I bought a 4 12 months ago for $400 a door. It needed 150 grand worth of work. Instead, I'm putting in 225 worth of work. I have 3 out of the 4 units before I'm even finished the project already rented.
Yeah. And
they're rented at a number that's going to mean about $9,000 a month of income. And they're 2s. They're 2s and 1s. It's 3 2s and a 1.
So here's the concept to try to get across to that newer investor. And I had this conversation with somebody 3 days ago. I think I was buying a stove for one of my rentals. But the person there knew where they were delivering the stove, and they said, oh, so you own that fourplex. They knew the area, they knew the place, they lived right past it. And she said, well, are you concerned with right across the street, there was a mobile home park that was torn down and completely lotted. And now there's this huge, probably 35 or 40 unit apartment building going in.
Awesome.
And she said, exactly. I was like, awesome. And she said, what do you mean? She said, had the mindset that it's going to saturate the market. There'll be so many rentals, you might have to lower your rents. And I said, that is a possible financial concept, right? Saturation, when you have too much supply, right? But we're so far low on supply, you have a new apartment building going in. Here's the actual math on this. This is a real example. This is what's happening. So I have the fourplex where my rents are 15 to 1800, depending on how long the tenant's been in there. That's where they are per unit. The apartment complex is going in across the street. It's 1-bedroom units and 2-bedroom units. The 1-bedrooms are starting at 2300.
Exactly.
Mine are all 1200 square feet, 2 bedrooms, 2 baths. The rents on mine won't go immediately to the 24, 25 that they're getting at the apartment complex, but that new build can't rent for what somebody can rent an older building for.
That's right.
So it's going to push my rents up. It would take thousands of builds to saturate a market to where rents would eventually drop. We've never seen that.
No. Yeah. At the end of the day, I fully expect the government to continue to do what they've done the last 20 years, and that is to adopt rules that are pitched, are sold as helping homebuyers, that at the end of the day help asset owners. It's almost like inflation is a feature and not a bug. I don't know. True story. Dion, where can people find you?
Right here on YouTube, Dion Talk Financial Freedom. It's like you should have a t-shirt that says, I used inflation to get rich. Ask me how.
Yeah, I should have that. All righty, Matt. How do we find you?
Lumberjack Landlord, YouTube, Instagram, 11:30 a.m. on Sundays. We do 90 minutes where we just take questions, answer people's questions, no matter where they're at in the process or in the cycle. We take them from I don't own anything to I had somebody with 200 units ask a couple questions. It's like, this
Nice.
is what I would do. Yeah, this is what I would do.
I love it. Awesome.
Yeah,
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mike.